Welcome to the 2025 NFL playoffs. In this video, I'm going to break down two picks that I already made early for wild card weekend. I'm going to give you three different Super Bowl futures. A couple I've already made, but we're going to break down an additional one, as well as give you an updated record on my regular season and futures for the 2024 NFL season. This video is to get you ready for the 2025 wild card round. We'll start with my Super Bowl futures. We'll break each one of them down. Then we'll get into my two early picks for wild card weekend. And then we'll do a season in review for the 2024 NFL season, again with updated records, both regular season and futures. But let's get straight into these Super Bowl futures. So my first Super Bowl future is also my biggest. Kansas City Chiefs plus 440. I gave that out, I think, in the middle of the season, right? Risking 2.5 units. It all comes down to this. With the bye, they'll have to beat the winner of Texans versus Chargers, a game in which they should cruise. And then they'll likely face the winner between the Ravens and the Bills, right? This is all in a perfect world if chalk goes through. The Chiefs will likely be underdogs in that game, and the entire world is going to freak out, and then the Chiefs find a way to win. Sharp, square, it doesn't matter to me. We've made so much money backing the Chiefs over the last two seasons in the Super Bowl that I'm basically just rolling over, this winnings unless they prove me wrong, right? The best price in the market right now is plus 370 on the Chiefs. I would still play that. I think they're going to set us up for another big time run and be the first team in NFL history to ever win 3 straight Super Bowls. Why not Patrick Mahomes? Why not Andy Reid? It's almost written in the stars. The second Super Bowl future that was given out on this channel was the Packers at 14-1. That was a few weeks ago, which accompanied my play of the month, which went horribly with the Packers money line against the Vikings. Well, it didn't go so horribly because a part of that play of the month was taking the Packers team total over 23.5. Luckily, they covered that line, but still, they didn't end up beating the Vikings. And I made that pick thinking that they were going to beat the Vikings, and then that line would eventually come down, and we would start to notice that the Green Bay Packers are one of the elite teams in the NFL. But they weren't. And then they limped into the playoffs. And when you look at their injury report, Christian Watson is probably going to be out, at least for the first game, and probably the rest of the playoffs. And he disrupts their deep playability so much, right? Without him on the field for Jordan Love, the passing attack, it's just not as good, right? This is the future I wish we could take back, but here we are, right? I think the Packers still have a shot, but with the way the line has moved in the wild card game, right? The Packers opened as 3.5-point dogs. It's now sitting at 4.5 or 5. We have a better shot of just rolling over our winnings on their money line, right? If you still like the Packers to win the Super Bowl, bet a money line against the Eagles and just keep betting them until you eventually get to the Super Bowl. That's a way that we could do that too, especially because they'll be big underdogs. I haven't exactly decided how I play it, but I do have a Packers Super Bowl at 14-1. If you're a Packers fan and want to get in, go ahead. If not, I would wait this one out. I think it's better to roll over our winnings on the money line, but we'll talk about it in a future video. Now, my last one is another one I'm really excited about. I took the Ravens 7-1 in before week 18 started, plus 700. They're down to plus 600 in this market, right? This team is a top 5 unit both on offense and on defense since the midway point of this NFL season. They had a glaring hole in their secondary, but since week 8, they rank second in dropback EPA and fourth in success rate against the pass. This season, Lamar is the number 1 quarterback when we're looking at EPA plus completion percentage over expectation, and Derrick Henry just can't be stopped. I think this is the best team left in the playoffs. The best team in the playoffs, the best team in the NFL, and I'm picking them to beat Buffalo if they move on past the Steelers. Then hopefully they play the Chiefs, and in a perfect world, we either have the Chiefs to win 10 units or the Ravens to win 7 units. We can bring both of those futures in the AFC Championship game. Whoever wins goes to the Super Bowl. That's how I'm hoping it ends up, but you never know. But I think we're in the best spot possible by betting the Ravens and the Chiefs. So as of now, those are my 3 Super Bowl picks. Before we get to my wild card picks, though, remember to use code JustGridiron on BetMGM to access your first bet offer up to $1,500. Download BetMGM, use promo code JustGridiron, and if your first pick loses, you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it does lose. It's a perfect opportunity if you haven't gotten it yet to use this offer in the playoffs. So I'm going to give you these wildcard picks now with some analysis, but later on this week, you'll see my full card. It'll have props, it'll have more game picks, and all of those picks will be broken down in greater detail. But I did already make these two picks, and I wanted to get them to you now. And really, they stem from a couple of systems that have been profitable for me and have been profitable for bettors who have been betting these longer than I have, as they have a long track record. And I also like these systems because they meet the eye test. The systems make sense. And the first one stems from strength of schedule. Makes sense. Teams that played a more difficult schedule in the wild card round against a team that faced an easier schedule. The teams with the more difficult schedule, 59, 32, and 2 against the spread. The more battle tested team often wins and covers. The trends tell us to take these teams. Now, these, I went over every single game. This is just we're taking the team with the harder schedule against the team with the easiest. This is where you can start your handicapping. This is by no means the answer. It's just interesting to look at. So if we go through all of the games, it tells us to take the Packers against the spread against the Eagles, the Bills against the spread against the Broncos, the Texans against the spread against the Chargers, the Steelers against the spread against the Ravens, the Buccaneers against the spread against the Commanders, and the Vikings against the spread versus the Rams. Right? Again, those are not my picks. Those are just taking teams who had the harder strength of schedule against the easiest. Now we get into the second system, which is fading quarterbacks making their first playoff start against teams with quarterbacks who have plenty of experience. Teams like the Broncos, the Commanders, the Vikings are 19, 37 and 1 against the spread and 19 and 38 straight up in the first round. So, the Buccaneers and the Bills are two teams that fit both of these systems. Both are at home, both have plenty of positive experience in the first round, not just experience, but positive experience, right? We've seen the Bills just crush teams early in the wild card round, and we've also seen teams like the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield beat the Eagles last year, right? I love the Buccaneers at -2.5, which I grabbed at -120. It's now settled at a juice 3, which I would still take because I make the Bucs -3.5 in this game. But I think waiting will get you a better number because as of right now, when I'm looking at this screen, more total tickets and more money is on the Commanders. So I would just wait this one out. But I do love Buccaneers -2.5, -120. I put 1.2 units on that to win 1 unit. So if you can get that line, jump in on it now. So the second pick is the Bills, -7.5 against the Broncos. The Bills are my second power ranked team in the playoffs right now, behind the Ravens. I love the Bills, but I think the Ravens beat them. That's why we're investing in the Ravens in terms of Super Bowl futures. And really, this comes down to Josh Allen in Buffalo against a rookie quarterback with a defense for Denver that I think is heading in the wrong direction. This is the exact matchup I'm looking for. I make the line -9, so at 7.5, I jump straight on it at -115 to win 1 unit. I don't expect this to really go back down as books are quick to protect against teasers, but as long as it's at 8 or better, I'd back Buffalo. But I also think that this is one that you could wait. You're going to see sharp action really on both sides of this one on really all of the games. So just make sure to monitor the odds screen and make a bet when you see fit. And again, I will have a lot more analysis on these two picks later on in the week. So if you're not sure yet, you weren't sold by this early analysis, just wait. But let's do a 2024 season in review. This is a tough year for me. We've been profitable over the last 3 seasons, and it's been on the backs of underdogs and unders. We've all seen the trends. Favorites were an absolute cash cow this season. And this one I had to bring up because, especially in primetime, we love our primetime dogs, but favorites in night games went 47 and 12 straight up, 80% hit rate. Tough pill to swallow for someone who's been betting the opposite of those his entire betting career. I'm not someone who comes on here, though, and makes excuses. It's just my fault for not adjusting. My power rankings, the model I used, did not accurately reflect how bad some of the bottom feeding teams were compared to the top teams. It's the NFL. It's a sport that typically on any given Sunday, any team can win. But that wasn't the case this year. 10 teams had 5 or fewer wins. It's a third of the league being absolute trash. And a team like the Titans went 2-15 against the spread. The Browns went 4-13 against the spread. Right? That Titans mark is the worst in NFL history. That Browns mark is one of the worst in NFL history. The NFL is an efficient market. It wasn't very efficient this year. But again, it's not me making excuses because plenty of other people made money. They adjusted early on. I didn't. I didn't realize how bad these teams are, and that's my fault. My only half excuse, and it's not even really a full excuse, we did have some terrible bad beats, right? It started in week 1. You remember Titans versus Bears? Titans won and covered without scoring an offensive touchdown. That was one of the 2 games they covered all year. We were on the Bears, showed up in props. And these are just a few I remember, but we had 1 or 2 every week, right? Tyreek Hill, over 79.5 yards. He landed on 80 on the game's last play at a 19-yard catch. Joe Mixon, over 59.5 rushing yards a few weeks ago. He had 60 with 12 minutes left. We took his over 59.5. He ran 2 more times for -3 yards and we lost. We had 4 different unders lose in the last 2 minutes. We had underdogs, multiple of them not cover because they couldn't score from the 1-yard line. Again, we just had bad beats, but it's not a full excuse because everybody has bad beats. Everybody does. It's just what happened, right? So you could have a good or a bad season based on certain results when the margins are really tight. Some years we've been on the lucky side. This year was just straight unlucky in terms of now I had bad picks. Absolutely. Everybody does. But when you don't win on the margins and you're consistently losing on the margins, that's how we get to minus 14.18 units on the regular season. The worst mark I've ever had betting any sport ever since 2021, or at least giving them out publicly. I tried my best. I got crushed. It was a good learning experience. However, luckily, our futures brought a lot of it back. When starting this channel, my first videos were all about the futures. You can find them again at the bottom of this channel. We returned 11.70 units in profit. We had our largest wager, which was the Saints under 7.5 wins at plus 122. We crushed all of our Lions futures. Thank you, Jared Goff. Thank you, Dan Campbell. I mean, we're still waiting on Dan Campbell to win Coach of the Year, which would net us an additional 11 units, but I just don't think he's going to win. He's currently plus 400 in the market. KOC is minus 750. I could try and spin you all the narratives that, I want to, but I don't think he's going to win. We hit the Eagles division. We hit the Cowboys to miss the playoffs. We hit 4 of our 5 season-long player props. My personal favorites were the interception props, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. They didn't even get to half of their projected interception prop totals. The one we lost was DeAndre Swift. We had him under 5.5 rushing touchdowns. He got his 6th in week 18. Stinks, but what are you going to do there? The only bet that I thought was a really, really bad wager that I really wanted to recap was the Raiders. Took them over 6.5 wins and 7.5 wins. That sucked. They were terrible. I don't know what I saw there. I know what I did. I believed in Antonio Pierce. I believed in the defense, and neither really showed up. But it was the best that I've done in the futures market on the NFL side since I started tracking picks publicly. So on one end, we had the worst regular season possible. And on the other side, we had the best futures luck possible. Again, so with everything put together right now, we're down 2.48 units on the season. If you took every play that I've made with the recommended amount of units, a $100 better just for standard, a $100 unit better would be down $248. We don't like that. We have a full playoff schedule with Super Bowl futures to hopefully end up in the green when it is all said and done. So these are my Super Bowl futures, my wildcard bets, and that was my 2024 regular season in review. We got a lot more opportunities to make some money. Be sure, turn on post notifications for my picks that'll come out later this week for wildcard weekend. You already got 2, and I will have more. And if you enjoyed, press the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment down below any of your thoughts on my regular season, on any of the futures, on any of the picks that I've already made, on any of the Super Bowl futures. Let me know in the comments section below. Really appreciate everybody listening, and I'll see you soon for all of my picks for Wildcard Weekend. Why not us?